Hello, and thank you for joining us on our segment Global Service Learning Cycle. Today, our topic on barriers that restrict our experiences with food. In this cycle, we will be addressing a very hard-hitting and sensitive topic that affects a very large percentage of our population. Today, we will be explaining on possible psychological. Today we will be explaining on possible psychological barriers of food consumption. We will be addressing different mental illnesses that affect one's ability to consume food, such as anorexia, bulimia, and depression. Along with that, we will be speaking about different drugs that also play a part in appetite suppression. Furthermore, we will also speak about how cultural views can affect a person's will to ask for food when in need. But more importantly, we will also include resources that can help as someone going through a tough time. We hope our presentation brings to light a broad issues that is usually pushed to the shadows.
This picture is a picture of a bony, skinny girl standing in front of a scale in the bathroom, one hand on her hip and one reaching to her chin. There is a silhouette of a heavy-set girl reflecting on the wall behind her. On the left side of the painting, there is a cabinet with pill bottles, a phone, syringe and needle, and magazine sitting on top of below. A bony girl standing in front of a scale while a heavy-set silhouette reflects behind her on the wall. This is how many girls see themselves who have mental illnesses. Even being as skinny as they can be, they still view themselves as heavy-set. As shown above, there are factors of these mental illnesses such as drugs, pills, social media, and magazines. Even though these mental illnesses are present in a person, since they don't accept it, they refuse to get help from counselors, therapists, and food.
Okay, so one of the most common conditions for eating disorders is anorexia nervosa, and it involves the restrictive eating habits that lead to losing a significant amount of body weight based off of obsessive fears of one's body image and weight. And the symptoms can include a restricted or rigid diet, and the weight that becomes less than 85% of normal age and height, and just overall being obsessive over one's image, whether that's their physical image, like how they look, or in behavior as well, such as possibly having some social anxiety. The effects of this can include hair loss, dry skin, muscle weakness, a risk for heart attacks, an impaired immune system, as well as depression and anxiety.
So I had bulimia nervosa, and this means that it is binge eating in a short period of time and then purging to get rid of all the food indulged. Some symptoms may include feeling cold all the time, having episodes of eating, concerns with body and flaws, mood swings, and fear of gaining weight. Some effects that this disorder can finally result in is the discoloration of teeth, muscle weakness, dry skin and nails, depression and anxiety, and uncontrollable eating habits and desires.
Being eating disorder is in a period of time to eat the amount of the food that is more than normal people will eat in the same time. That has a list of symptoms that the person who have the binge eating disorder might have. Difficulty concentrating, eating larger amount of food when not feeling psychological hunger, eating much more repeatedly than normal, frequently dates. Let's look for what kind of effect might have. Notable fluctuations in weight, both and down, stomach cramps, difficult concentrating.
I have pica disorder. It is the persistent eating of non-nutritive substances for a period of at least 1 month without an association with an aversion to food. Some of the symptoms include upset stomach, stomach pains, blood in the stools, which may be a sign of an ulcer that developed from eating non-food items, um, bowel problems such as constipations or diarrhea. Some of the effects include lead poisoning from eating paint chips that contain lead, intestinal obstruction on trigger, dental injuries, infections, nutritional deprivation, and excessive calorie intake.
Here you can see three substances that act as anorexics. I chose these three specifically because they encompass a broad range of ages and are all very common in our society. First on the list is Adderall. This substance is often prescribed to patients who have attention disorders and have trouble focusing. Adderall is commonly sought after to enhance cognitive function and even induce weight loss due to its side effect of loss of appetite. Next, we have nicotine, which is the active ingredient in cigarettes that makes them addictive. Frequent consumption of cigarettes can lead to a reduced appetite and can even alter one's ability to taste and smell, which can make food less appealing. I would also like to bring up the financial constraints surrounding addiction to cigarettes or any nicotine product for that matter. A person that smokes frequently may in turn also be sacrificing money that they could have spent on food. Cigarettes have also been used to intentionally suppress the appetite. Last on the list is caffeine, a common additive found in beverages. Some people have a hard time starting their day without coffee, but could it be causing them to skip breakfast? In smaller quantities, caffeine by itself has some beneficial qualities such as increased alertness and an elevated mood. However, when paired with nicotine, larger quantities of caffeine can enhance the appetite suppressing effects of nicotine as well as the urge to consume more nicotine. Caffeine has not, however, been proven to affect appetite on its own. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, now I will be introducing some apps and technology that helps with eating disorder. One of the biggest part of apps and technology is it provides a platform that's easily accessible to everyone with some form of a device and internet, and it can easily deliver and enhance treatment at various different levels of care, starting from therapy all the way to guided help. It also acts as an alarm and reminder for someone who's trying to track their progress, and it provides some form of music for people trying to relax, and most of all, it provides a lot of information. Like with a quick Google search, people are easily able to understand more about these disorders and how they can improve on conditions. And I think one of the biggest benefits of apps and technology nowadays is the benefit of anonymity. A lot of people are scared to talk to other people because they're embarrassed about their conditions. But if you're on a platform and you're anonymous, it will be a lot easier for people to share their pains and what they're going through. And it's also a lot easier for other people that have been through the same path to help guide them and provide moral support. And on the left, you can see some listed apps that actually help with eating disorder and anxiety. They're all highly rated apps and I think most of them are compatible with both Android and iOS. One that I really wanted to point out was 7 Cups of Tea. It's an app that, it's an anonymous chat app. So you go on the app and then you can talk to professionals that can help guide you and provide some form of therapy. And I'm pretty sure it's a free app. And all the other apps up there are all tracking apps. So they will record, you will record your eating habits or what you're going through, your mood, and then it will then compile for you your progress. And then the last one I really wanted to mention was the icon on the bottom. And if you don't know what that is, that's Reddit. And Reddit is it's one of the biggest forums out there, and it has all sorts of forums. And there's a lot of communities that will help you better your condition, because there's a lot of people that have been through the same path. And Reddit is overall, if you like post on Reddit, a lot of people will provide their support. Thank you. The Richmond College Food Pantry is located in El Paso Hall in room E030. They're open on Monday to Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. It's important to mention that they are closed on Fridays. However, on the website, they have mentioned that if you are in need of services outside of these hours, you may stop by the Office of Student Life, which is located in room E040. So we were assigned the task of coming up with a hypothetical app that could aid the food pantry. And what we came up with was an app that would allow users to order what they need and have it ready for pickup. The app would allow the food pantry to keep track of inventory, monitor which items are popular, and help decide how much of a certain item needs to be kept in stock at the pantry. This app would help reduce the time people spend in pantry, which would prevent crowding within the pantry. And it would also allow individuals who are embarrassed and want to get out of the pantry as quick as possible to get what they need and get the help they need in an efficient manner. And yeah.
I will introduce Making a Change now, in which we will discuss psychological and cultural barriers that prevent students from setting foot at the food pantry.
The image illustrates 2 hands, one reaching out at the air and another pulling the other hand down. Inside the 2 hands, 2 different ecosystems are illustrated. The one grasping at the air has a healthy ocean ecosystem with a seal, seaweed, coral, and a sunset in the background. In the hand pulling it down, there is a depleted ecosystem with cracked dirt and a barren plateau. In my illustration, I am depicting the struggle that people suffering from food insecurity go through in order to accept that they need the help. In the image, two arms are visible, with one grasping and sort of pulling down at the other. Inside the arm reaching up into the air, there is a depiction of a healthy ocean ecosystem, which represents the hope and the goal of where the person wants to be if they accepted the help from the sources available to them, like the food pantry. The arm grasping at the healthy ecosystem instead depicts a barren and depleted ecosystem devoid of any sign of life. This represents the person's current situation, and the act of pulling down the healthy arm represents the person's struggle in accepting that they need help and the desperate attempt to act like everything is fine the way it is. This relates to the food pantry, as a huge part of the reason people do not seek help is out of reluctance or the idea that somebody else needs the help more than they do.
So basically, anxiety is the human body's natural response to stress. A more easy way to understand is worry or fear about something new to your life. For example, first time to a job interview or with a new person that the people are not familiar with. Usually happen when a student first day at the new school with a new class. 2 different stress clip the student from the different side like a sandwich. Usually they have at least one of symptoms in the list down to the side. Like difficulty falling asleep, trouble concentrating, uncontrollable feeling of worry, increasing irritability, people might start doing something they like. More serious will be don't want to get out of the home.
So now we have, can you go back, please? Thanks. So we have, how is anxiety a barrier? So right here we have three examples. The first one is status quo of being broke. So in modern society, being in poverty is a big no-no. Social media has normalized people showing off everything and having a lot of money, and while it's a good thing, it might not be the best thing for everybody. It causes a lot of anxiety just to become more popular around everybody else. And even adults would try to work for more money, or they're being forced to buy designer brands just for a social status. Another example would be minimizing your problems and blowing up others. So this kind of relates more to the food pantry in a way that people believe that they don't need it more than others. So an example would be that you've been eating ramen and sandwiches and drinking water for the last week. You can barely afford to get by, but you learn about the food pantry. So you don't go because you think somebody else needs it more. And while prioritizing other people's needs on top of your own might not be bad, but it's important for you to get the desired nutrients that you need, and the food pantry has enough food to help pretty much everybody and a couple more students than one might think. So the last one is thinking that you'll get made fun of. So the social norm nowadays is to not ask anybody for help, but a lot of people think that anxiety is just part of not going to the food pantry, but it's actually because a lot of people will think that they will get judged, and it just brings a bigger amount of anxiety towards them. Thank you.
So it's important to know that depression and anxiety are comorbidities of eating disorders, and as well as the situations that these students might face. So we need to ask, what is depression? So according to the National Institute of Mental Health, depression, or a major depressive disorder or clinical depression, is a common but serious mood disorder. Severe symptoms can affect how one might feel, think, and handle daily activities such as sleeping, eating, or working. The symptoms must be present for at least 2 weeks in order to be diagnosed with it. For example, 33 to 50% of anorexia patients have a comorbid mood disorder such as depression. And these symptoms of depression can include feelings of hopelessness or pessimism, feelings of guilt, worthlessness, or helplessness, loss of interest or pleasure in hobbies and activities, decreased energy or fatigue, appetite and or weight changes, aches or pains from all over the body.
So how is depression a barrier? Well, some people may feel like they don't have the motivation or energy to eat when they are depressed. And when their appetite decreases, they start skipping meals, and many times they find themselves living through meals. Often they have problems with concentration, memory, and making decisions, which can make simple tasks seem overwhelming. For example, they might eat the same peanut butter sandwich for 3 meals a day. This can explain why it is so easy for people with depression to fall into the habit of eating the same foods all the time. Also, they might find that they are too exhausted to prepare balanced meals, and since it is so difficult for them to operate normally, they are just looking for a structure and routine. Ultimately, they slowly withdraw into themselves, lose confidence, and stop reaching out to others that might be of critical help, getting them back into healthier behavior and better food choices.
Hi everyone, I'm going to be talking about cultural barriers. Unfortunately, there are some cultural differences and barriers that may prevent students from seeking help from resources like the Richland College Pantry. A few possible barriers include language barriers. Richland College is lucky to have a culturally diverse student body. However, an inability to communicate their needs may leave a student feeling discouraged, therefore decreasing the likeliness of them visiting the food pantry. Difference in taste. Some students from different countries may not be used to the food that the pantry has available. Most people want to eat things that they're familiar with. Additionally, students may have an incorrect idea of what kind of food is available at the food pantry, possibly because of how facilities like this are often depicted in popular media. Cultural values. In some cultures, it may be considered shameful to accept help, especially from strangers. This has to do with deeply rooted belief systems that encourage self-sufficiency and independence. This is an issue that cannot be easily mended. However, by continuing to tear down the stigma of shame surrounding food insecurity, it can certainly be improved.
I'll be leading us into the road of recovery, in which there have been ways to combat these problems for people and for everybody else in college.
The graphic shows a girl who is feeling better after going through the recovery process from mental illness and eating disorder. She's starting to connect with her family and friends. Like she's having more healthy habits, going probably to the food pantry and eating healthy. And also, she is finally seeing herself in the mirror as she says, like she doesn't need any changes. Like she feels good about herself. Now we're going to show you some resources that can help you go through this recovery path.
So with getting help, there are a couple of numbers I decided to write or put down on this slide for you guys. The first one is the National Suicide Hotline, because as mentioned earlier, anxiety and depression is a real thing, and a lot of people might not have somebody to talk to, but if you go to this number, it's 1-800-784-2433. You can talk to someone about just whatever you want to talk about. Another one is the Eating Disorders Awareness and Prevention Line. This one, it'll help you diagnose you more instead of having to go to a specific doctor or anything. It'll just tell you like some of the symptoms to be aware of. It's 1-800-931-2237. The next one is the National Prevention of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders. So anorexia nervosa is a really popular one, so they dedicated their own hotline to it. It's 1-847-831-3438. The last one I wanted to put on there is the Richland College Food Pantry. And as the the engineers mentioned earlier, there's the time and place that you could find them. Just go a couple slides back.
Well, some of the websites that can be consulted for getting help are the National Eating Disorder Association, that supports individuals and families affected by eating disorders and serves as a catalyst for prevention, cures, and access to quality care. The other one is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Its mission is to reduce the impact of substance abuse and mental illness on America's communities. We also have the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, that focuses on improving quality of life for those with anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, and other disorders through education, practice, and research. And lastly, we have the Richland College Counseling, where we can find a professional counselor that can help identify, understand, and develop skills to resolve our educational, career, and personal issues.
If you are a Richland College student and, as mentioned before, need help for free talking to a licensed counselor, you can go to the Counseling Center at Richland. It's located in El Paso Hall, E082, inside the Lakeside Resource Center, and the phone number is 972-238-3771, and you can email them at counselingrlc@dccd.edu, and their hours from Monday through Thursday are from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and on Friday it is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can walk in for some appointments from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, or you can call the center at any time. And there's the link to the website. Thank you.
Concluding the Psych Talk, here are some upcoming events to keep in mind. We have the essential items drive from Monday, March 30th to Thursday, April 9th. And we have some site visits to City Square on Friday, April 24th. And of course, the upcoming site talk in the future is going to be on April 15th. And the topic is Food for Thought, the relationship between food, the gut, and the brain. And that'll be on Wednesday. Below, you see a roadmap showing all of these dates and the outline of each site talk that have been and will be discussed in the future. Special thanks to our community partners and Richland College's Learning Center. Below are some URLs and sites and places that we'd like to especially thank. First, we have City Square, where you can find right here. We have Vickery Meadow Food Pantry, the Mosaic Family Services, RLC's Food Pantry, and RLC's Learning Center. Thank you so much for everyone who was involved in making the site talk happen. Special thanks to our designers, artists, engineers, researchers, project managers for all the work that they put in. Please make sure to join us on April 15th for our next site talk.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on our second Global Service Learning Site Talk. Today, our topic is on the barriers that restrict our experiences with food. In this site talk, we will be addressing a very hard-hitting and sensitive topic that affects a very large percentage of our population. Today, we will be explaining on possible psychological barriers of food consumption. We will be addressing different mental illnesses that affect one's ability to consume food, such as anorexia, bulimia, and depression. Along with that, we will be speaking about different drugs that also play a part in appetite suppression. Furthermore, we will also speak about how cultural views can affect one person's will to ask for food when in need. But more importantly, we will also include resources that can help someone going through a tough time. We hope our presentation brings to light a broad issues that is usually pushed down to the shadows.